Hello there. Welcome back to Hallelujah Babes.
Hey guys.
How's everybody doing today? Tarrah, how are you?
I'm good. I woke up this morning to come rush over here. I don't like waking up early.
At all? What's early?
I'm trying. I do. My alarm goes off at 7.
Is that early?
That's early for me. That's like perfect.
Yeah.
But what time do you wake up?
I wake up early. I usually probably wake up around 5:30, but I do a devotion. I do it in bed lately.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And so I'll get up, I'll start coffee, and then I'll go lay in bed and I'll do my morning devotion. And then my daughter usually comes upstairs at 6:30, 6:45, and we'll kind of do a little chit chat, and then
really?
I'll get up for the day. And
She's up early too?
Well,
Kylie?
she works.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So she has to be in Temecula by 8. So she usually leaves the house at 7:20.
Yeah. Traffic.
Oh yeah, totally. And so she likes to have her mornings too. So she kind of goes around the kitchen, makes lunch. It's always a slow morning here, which I like. I actually though, I'm training for a fitness competition, and my coach, I just said, because right now I'm working out with him every day, 5 days a week from 11 to 12. And that's a really hard time to work out because it's right in the middle of my day.
Okay.
And it's in Corona. So every single day I have to drop what I'm doing. I drive to Corona. I do that hour session and then I come back home. And so I was like, do you have anything in the mornings? And so he just told me, I have a 6:30 session opening up, which means I'll be having to now get out of bed by 5 in the morning every day.
Oh, I couldn't do that. See, I like to I like to ease into my morning.
Yeah.
So I'll wake up, the alarm will go off at 7 a.m. and I like to go downstairs, get my coffee, I get back in bed, and that's when I do my, Bible study and, prayer and stuff. That's nice to me. It's like an ease, you know?
I love that.
I don't
I
want
really
to
have to say I do love that.
Go to the gym. I I tried doing that with my friend Michelle. Last year, we were like, let's go to the gym. She has to be at work by 6, I think, or 7. I don't know. But we were there at 5:30 in the morning, and I was yawning the whole time. I'm like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
This is
not cut out
very,
But I also go to bed really early. You stay up late because you're not even out of school till 10.
Right. I get out of school at 10 p.m., and then I go to the gym after that. So I'm working out from 10:15 to 11:15. Then I got to drive home from Temecula.
Yeah.
I get home at 11:30, and then I'm just trying to unwind. I'm wired.
And it's so funny. So that to me, staying up till 11:30 sounds like you're getting up at 5:30. That sounds torturous. Okay. I would way rather get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning and be in bed by 8 o'clock.
I would too, if I could.
I like that routine so much more. I'm not a night person. Yeah. I used to always say I'm not a night or a morning person. I like to sleep. But the older I've gotten, my body I think just naturally tends to wake up early now.
When we were younger, were you did you have a hard time waking up and going to school? Because we had to go to school so early.
No, I didn't. I remember, Elaine was our other best friend growing up, and she would sleep till when we would hang out every single weekend, and she'd spend the night, and it was 11 and 12, 1, she'd be sound asleep. I have never been able to do that. I'm if I slept until 9, that was
sleeping.
Whoa. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just slept the day away. So I've never really been a person that had a hard time in the mornings. Now, coming up, my daughter did rodeo this weekend. We got up at 4 in the morning. That's hard, right? I'm tired. And so 4 is early for me to have to get up, get dressed, get out the door by 5 a.m. I 5:36 is my sweet spot. That to me is easy. Okay. I don't even have to think about it. Yeah. So pushing it back 30 minutes, going to the gym and having to leave here at 5:30 is going to be slightly uncomfortable.
But, no pain, no gain, right?
No pain, no gain. Yeah, I'm getting close.
So what's the deal with this fitness thing? Do you have a date?
Yeah,
the
June 7th. It's
really?
in San Diego.
Okay.
Honestly, the hardest part of it all is probably the posing. I'm a white girl with no rhythm.
Do you have to get all tan? They spray tan you?
They it almost to a point where you're just is this even necessary? They spray tan you so tan.
Why?
I don't know, to be honest. It has to probably be with lighting on the stage, maybe, and it can show out your muscles more. But I have to say, this is probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Now, I'm this far into it, so it's there's no going back now. Mm-hmm. But man, it's taken me about a year. It is hard to put muscle on. I thought, honestly, when I first signed up for this, I'm 3 to 6 months maybe. But it's taken me about a year and it will be about a year by the time I go on stage. That's what I should say, to be able to fully get to that point. I think it's a fun journey though. It's fun to watch your body transform, and
you look good.
Thank you.
I was checking you out earlier when I walked in. I was like, dang, Loni, look at you.
I noticed that too, and I'm like, wow, like you actually look in the mirror and you can just see like definition coming in. My butt and legs have always been my struggle area, and just like see things like lifting and moving and tightening. You're like,
that's crazy.
It's cool to watch that you can actually transform your body when you do. It's a slow process. And I think that that's one thing that I'm very impatient. I want things yesterday. And this has taught me so much patience because you don't really see results right away. And that could be for anybody out there listening is when I've done the yo-yo dieting forever. I feel like I've always been skinny fat. Like I've never been like a fat person, but I've never really been toned or fit, right? Where I actually like put muscle on and look good in a bikini.
Sure.
Like it was always like you're just kind of like loose, even though in clothes it was fine, but in a bathing suit, no. And so to see this slow transformation happen, it's like you see yourself every day. So you're kind of like, oh my gosh, like, am I ever going to get there? My gosh, like it takes so long. But I have to say that just in the last, I would say since I've been training with my trainer directly, it's such a specific way to work out and it's such a specific way to eat that I don't think I respected it enough at first. I didn't understand. Like once the light bulb went off for me, I was like, okay, I get it. Like everything is so strategic and it's about consistency. Like you have to just be consistent and slow and steady and just stay off the scale, stay out of the mirror, stay out of all things and just do it. Because what happens is you're like, oh my gosh, I ate nothing last week. I've worked out so much and I don't feel like anything looks different or has changed. And that's going to happen for there was months and months and months that I felt like nothing was changing. Like nothing was looking different. I just felt like I was just kind of in this plateaued place. And then that's when I went and started working out with my coach directly. And he was just like, just pushed me to that next level of just like slightly more than I was doing and just tweaked a couple things in my diet. And I'm like, wow, like just even doing that, like I've noticed transformation and change. So it's about being patient. I think that's anything in life, right? I mean, I think the journey is about being patient and gracious and being willing to pivot, right? When you're doing something that is not working in any area of your life, we get so stuck on just the same path. It's like we just keep hitting the same roadblock over and over and over and over again. Where I feel like the fitness journey is the same thing. It's like I've always worked out, I've always dieted, I've always done the same thing, but I never got the result because I never pivoted. I always tried what I knew, which was starve myself to death, which is not sustainable, drop a few pounds. Yes, I would do a lot of like cardio and I did do some like weight training, but nothing like I'm doing now. Like if you can actually build muscle and lift weights, and I'm not talking crazy heavy weights, don't hurt yourself, but enough to build muscle, your body will completely transform. Your life will completely transform when you pivot and you get on the right path and trajectory.
What does it feel like to be like super in shape and like fit, have muscle, you eat very, very clean. Like we used to, me and you, we love Mexican food.
Oh yeah.
And like that was our thing.
Oh
we
yeah.
used to remember we used to go to Don Jose's after school.
I still love Mexican food, let me tell you. And I think it was 2 weeks ago, it was rodeo and I told my mom, I'm like, I'm eating Mexican food today. So we went to Rodrigo's and I completely ate. But the thing is old Loni would have been like, oh, I fell off my diet plan. And then I would have just
go crazy,
right? Just binge and just eat this and eat that and eat this. I ate that meal, and that night I made sure to still hit my protein intake. I still stayed on plan. I still did everything I would normally do, and then I just continued on as if that didn't even happen. Okay. So I think that I finally learned it's not all or nothing. That was so my mentality for so many years is, oh, well, I messed up, so I'm going to eat this, I'm going to eat that, I'm going to eat this. We're human. When I was going to start my period, so I was like starving and just craving something. So instead of saying absolutely no, sometimes I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to have a couple of things. And then it's like, you're like, okay, I feel better now. And then it doesn't come again over me, right? So I used to live for food. I remember when I was diet and I was like, I can't do this and I can't do that. And you just feel so restricted that it was like, it just felt torturous, honestly. And it doesn't feel like that anymore. And I think, because it does feel good to look in the mirror and see changes and results, right? You're like, wow, like I've put in a lot of work and time that when you start seeing transformation to happen, it's really hard to want to blow it, right? It's taken me a year to get to where I'm at now. Like I can't even wait to see what my body's gonna look like in a year from now, And so it's when you slowly see the change, it reminds me of like a relationship with God, like we talked about. Like in the beginning, you're like, I have to give up what? Like I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to sacrifice my fun and partying and drinking and all the things that we were doing. And then you start getting the results of what happens when you give those things up and you lean into God and you're like, wow, like this, I didn't even know that you could enjoy life so much and have so much peace and have so much just natural joy and just more purpose, right?
Totally.
Just a purpose-filled life that working out and the fitness thing is kind of the same thing. It's like at first you're like, oh my gosh, I can't drink alcohol. I can't have this. I can't have that. I can't. And then you get to a point in time where you're like, I don't even want to. I feel good. I look good. Oh, wow, yeah. The energy is there. Everyone's like, you are so disciplined, Loni. Like, how do you do it?
That's what I feel about you is this like super disciplined.
Yeah, which I had that at first and it took a lot of discipline. Just like it does, it takes obedience, right? Sure. But once you grow that muscle and once you start to transform, you just don't eat. Like I don't even think twice about it anymore. A restaurant, like it's not the battle anymore of like, oh, I want to order the hamburger and the French fries and this. Not saying that I wouldn't grab a French fry off my daughter's plate or a handful here and there once in a while. I do that, but I always stick to the basics. I'm always getting a protein and a vegetable, and I'm not doing the carbohydrate, and I'm just not doing the sauces, and I just eat very basic, boring, clean diet. Everyone's always like, "That's your meal," and I'm like, but anywhere we go to a pizza restaurant, I'll order a meatball, no cheese, no sauce. Like I just know what I do, right? Yeah. And it's become such a part of my life, and the reward of getting in shape and how good I feel is so worth the sacrifice.
So you feel like a lot of energy.
Totally. Yeah.
Because I hear it's amazing.
Yeah.
I've heard. Yes, I've heard. I've never felt that. But.
Well, I think that it's, and I don't know what switched for me. God, I was just sick and tired of looking in the mirror and feeling like crud. I felt like I think because I was really just in a dark place and just depressed. So I put on weight. I didn't like the way I felt. I was working out like crazy. We ate pretty clean. Like I was just like, why am I just like stuck in this like blah, And so I just had this desire to want to do it then. So it's been something that's been like in my heart for a minute. And then, obviously life took its toll. And so, but it was still like one of those things I wanted to do, just to be able to get in that amount of shape in your life in our 40s and just to be able to say I've done it. The discipline and the self-control that you gain from it, I think is pretty exciting. And we only get one body, right? And it's like the older we get, the harder it gets. And so it's like, why not take care of us now so we have a lot of energy? I want to be able to be young and fit and continue to, ride horses and have my grandkids around. And I just want to be able to live a healthy, long life, and you can't do that when you feel overweight and exhausted and tired all the time. Yeah. Everything hurts. I was in so much physical pain all the time. Now that was more of a spiritual warfare, which is a whole nother topic for another day. It's crazy how darkness can create so much pain in your life, but I think that our health starts with what we fuel ourselves with every single day. Everybody asks me, what do you think is changing you the most? Like what have gotten you the most in shape? Is it diet or is it working out? And I said, well, obviously both play a factor, but it's food, which makes you feel good. It's food that makes you feel, it gives you the energy to be able to get yourself to the gym, right? Yeah. When you're eating like crap, you feel like crap, you don't want to do anything. So it's like that cycle. And I think it does start with food. If you can change and master your food and change and master your protein intake, that would be the very first step that I would recommend. I told you that.
Yep.
Start with your protein.
Yep. I told my niece the other day how you were talking about, like, when you go to the grocery store, I was like, because she's also, she's trying to diet and exercise and to go on walks more. And I told her, the best rule of thumb is stay on the outer parts of the grocery store. And she's like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that,
Totally.
Like,
Where the real food is at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like the inside's like the cookies and the chips and the canned stuff. If you stay on the outside, it's like the meats and the cheese and the fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. The healthier things.
My mom and my aunt Bonnie, they were really health fanatics always growing up. My mom was also extremely into fitness when she was roughly my age and younger. But they used to always say that they only would shop on the outside of the grocery store. And that was like where the healthy, real food is. As soon as you go down the aisles, it's all chemical, processed, fake food that makes us fat, and we always, it's like the ingredients list and all of the things that, are just put into our diets today is crazy. It's crazy.
And I mean, that's why we have so much sickness. I believe cancers and everything,
huge,
right?
Huge. Yeah. I mean, honestly, the rise of cancer and obesity and, just autoimmune diseases, it's all sugar driven. It's all derived from sugar, and everything in our food is literally just packed full of sugar.
And I love sugar.
Because it's more addictive than heroin.
I don't know if I was telling you this the other day, if it was someone else, but I truly feel like I have a real addiction, like I am on drugs. Like
because it is
I'm addicted to sugar, like so bad.
Yeah.
So bad, Loni. And it's weird. Like I want cake. I love cake and pastries. Like that's my favorite. And I just think about it. And if I'm not having it, I'm thinking about having it. And I genuinely like I crave it. And I am so addicted to it.
You and 99.9% of America that we live in, because it truly is addictive, especially the chemicals and preservatives that they put in. I mean, it is so addictive. They say it truly is more addictive than heroin.
Wonderful.
You have to go through the
a
detox process, just like you would on a drug.
So just like not have it and just detox it out.
And it's going to take discipline and self-control because, again, in life, if we all did what we felt like all the time, we would be poor, lazy, overweight, fat, broke, whatever. Our feelings are temporary and they're a lie.
Yeah.
Right? We can't live based on how we feel. We have to base on what we want, and feelings come and go. And so if you want to break that sugar addiction, it's going to take, truly, they say it takes 21 days to break a habit. So I would say it would probably take even less than that, to be honest.
Let's now, we're on the podcast right now. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
Starting today, let's break this habit.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's do it. I want to do it. I want to see, what do you say, 21 days?
They say it takes 21 days to create a new habit.
So no sugar, which means no cake.
Correct.
What else? So what do you like, even is carbohydrates like?
Yes. So
sugar?
It depends. Like now, if you want to do like a complex carb, so you wanted to do like, a sweet potato or rice or something like that, you can allow yourself maybe those because they break down different. But I mean, pastas and breads and, pastries, like cakes, the donuts, all the things, those carbs just break down into sugar so quickly. And so it truly, I think, obviously I was on carnivore for 3 months, and I think that in the beginning was harder because I was eating carbs. I was eating not very unhealthy carbs, but I still was eating carbs. So I did have those withdrawals. Nothing like, again, because I hadn't really allowed myself to eat cake and all that in the beginning. So I think I'm going to put my head down and I'm fighting these cravings until you no longer have them. Now, as your body, I want to say, and I don't know exactly because I think everyone's different, but I mean, it only takes like a week, maybe 10 days to get your body in ketosis, right? Which that is like a chemical change where your body goes from burning sugar for energy to burning fat for energy. So once you stop feeding it sugar and your body eats all the sugar out for your energy, you're going to kind of crash, right? Because you have no source of energy. And then your body converts, and that's what ketosis is. So your body converts into where now it burns fat for energy, right? So if you're not, and you still want to continue to not give it sugar so you can stay in ketosis, and your body will burn a lot of fat because it's using that for fuel, and it's sustainable. It's longer. Sugar, when you do a little peak of sugar, it's like it kicks you up high and then it drops you down low, right? Okay. You have like those peaks of energy and then you like drop down. When you're in ketosis, I feel like you have just stable energy because your body is now running on fat. So maybe doing more of like a paleo, keto kind of a diet?
Well, so last year, me and my friend, we tried to do keto, and I don't know what happened. Have you heard of the keto flu? Okay,
So
it was
your body's
terrible.
transferring.
And we both have to work, and he works physical, and I do too, and we're both like, I'm dying.
Should not
We had headaches.
last longer than a couple of days.
Yeah, it was a few
Most.
days, and we tapped out after
Oh
like
yeah,
4
no,
days.
you made it so close.
We
You
were
have,
just
you
like,
have to push
oh
through.
gosh, I was like, I can't get through this. I cannot. This, like, I have headaches. I have, like, we felt sick, like no energy. It was gross.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I'm not gonna say.
So that was
transferring-
normal,
It's
like, to
normal.
feel that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they call it the keto flu, and so your body, it's when you transfer over because again, your body ran out of its prime source of energy, and now it's like malfunctioning kind of. What do I do here? How do I process? And then it switches to fat.
Okay.
And that's when you start dropping a lot of weight. That's when you start having a lot of energy. You have a lot of mental clarity.
Ooh.
Yeah, ketosis has a lot of prime things. Now, if you want to be in ketosis, you have to not eat carbohydrates, right?
Okay.
Because they will kick you. Even like the potatoes and the rices, you can't eat that on keto. It's you can even get those little strips and see if you're in ketosis. Again, I think eating paleo is also a really just like a naturally healthy diet, and you can have some complex carbs if you want some carbohydrates. It's just you have to pick what's sustainable for you. In my diet, I went from carnivore to I'm not on carnivore, but because I do eat vegetables now. But I think my only carb source truly that I get is protein shakes, which have a couple of carbs in them, and fruit. I get fruit in the morning, but everything else that I eat is basically protein and vegetables. And so
So I can't eat fruit when I'm doing this?
if you want to be, it depends on what you choose to do. If you're going to eat keto, very minimal fruit because fruit does break down into sugar.
Okay.
It will kick you out. Now, you have to pick something that's sustainable.
Yeah.
Truly. I think if you can count your macros and learn how to do that, I feel like that honestly is probably it's confusing at first because it's hard to figure out your macros and to figure out how the ratios of how to hit. I remember when I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot get the amount of protein without going over the fat.
Yeah.
And that was because I kept trying to eat dirty, right? I wanted it to taste good. And so, it's you even on keto, you can do dirty keto where you're eating cookies and chips and pasta. That's all keto approved because they throw so much fiber in it that it, puts it under, but that's not really going to make you lose a lot of weight, And so you just have to, again, as much as everybody doesn't want to hear it, in order to get into shape, you have to eat healthy, boring food.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, there is no magic anything, right? It takes eating protein and not a lot. You don't get to do all the sauces. You don't get to do all the butter. You don't find sauces that don't have a lot of sugar in them. And so it's just learning to eat for fuel, to eat for purpose, to eat to get the results of what you want in your body and not for emotion.
Sure. Well, I was I talk to God all the time, and I was driving not too long ago, and I was like, Lord, do you think you could help me? I'm having trouble in this area. I have a true sugar addiction with, cakes and cookies and stuff. And I don't want this. Why, what do I do? And he said to me, just like how you're having self-control in the area of getting up and reading your Bible every morning, talking to me, you're checking in with me daily, you're, staying out of alcohol drinking, that's something that I talk to the Lord about he doesn't want me drinking right now. He's like, you're having self-control in all these other areas. This is one of those areas that you need to just like that, you have to do it with this.
Totally.
And so I was like, okay.
Yeah. And I think I tell people is you have to want it so bad in order to be successful at it. Obviously it's even in a relationship with God. I mean, that's why, you're so grateful for the hard times, because if it wasn't for the pain and the brokenness and the trauma that had happened that, knocked me to my knees, I wouldn't have found God.
That's right.
Right. And so again, our health is the same way, is because, we weren't willing to give those things up without the consequences of pain. in the health journey, I think watching Jimmy lose his health and just see that your life can be taken overnight, right?
Yeah.
That definitely awoke in me for sure. I'd always been pretty health conscious per se, but not really. I was comfortable, right? Like I was like, like I was comfortable. Like I didn't care enough to where I think for me now it's switched to where I want it more than I want the food. I want the fitness, I want the health, I want the strength more than I want anything else. And you have to have a why and a reason. Like you have to have that switch. And it might, again, take time for that to happen. So it starts out with discipline and self-control. So you only have so much willpower, right? Your will run out. And so if you have to have it bigger than that, there has to be like a purpose behind it. There has to be something more meaningful than just our own willpower, because I do think that when those days you're tired and you don't feel like going to the gym and you don't feel like eating good, your willpower will only be so strong until it's not there, and then you stumble and fall. So you have to connect it to something bigger. I feel like in something you have to want it so bad in order to push through. And I think that if you really, again, go back to God and just honoring our bodies and, looking at it as like our temple, and that we only get this one, that's it. Like it's the only thing in life that you cannot replace. Once you lose your health, there is no going back, and there is no like do-overs, right? And so yes, you can try to repair once you've broken it, but if anything in life, if there is one thing to be proactive on, it would be our health. It would be our vessel, because once you lose this, it's all over. There's no turning back. So maybe thinking of it like that, of like, okay, respecting myself enough to know, because I want to live a long life. I want to be here for my kids. I want to see my grandkids grow up. I want to be able to participate and, do things as I grow older. And we see beacons of health, man, people that chose to just drink and eat and not work out where they're at. And then people that have been healthy and worked out and treated themselves well, where are they at? Yeah. At 70 years old, they live completely different lives.
Yep.
So it's like the choice is ours. So you have to think long term in the sense of taking care of ourselves rather than short term. Everything short term is temporary. Everything. That's in life again. Totally. It all goes back hand in hand. And if you just honor and truly live your life how God teaches us in His Word to live our lives, and not base your life off of how you feel and like in those temporary moments, because those are always temporary, but you base it on longevity and what's best for everything and the outcome of, building a healthy, strong life. You notice that all the things that we want to do quickly in the moment that might feel good temporarily don't ever serve us well.
My daughter made a really interesting point the other day after church. She said to me, this is something that people, they don't really talk about. We talk about so much of the Bible, and, oh, we should do this and we shouldn't do that. And she goes, but yet there's so much obesity and like people that are not following eating correctly and just taking care of their body and being gluttonous. And she's like, that's interesting, because that's not really preached about so much.
Yeah.
We don't really talk about that much.
Well, I think, again, because there's always the consequences of sin, right? And that, I guess when you say lower on the totem pole of consequences, I mean, you're harming yourself.
Well, she goes, I thought sin is all like equal in God's eyes.
Well, I think sin is, but consequences of sin probably would be different. Where again, the consequence of not taking care of yourself is going to determine the longevity of your life, your health, right? How you feel every single day. And so there's a lot of people that don't know. I think a lot of it's just, there's so many health elements. It's like, where do you start? Like the chicken and the egg, people are like, oh my gosh, I have, thyroid problems, or I have, autoimmune disease, or I have this, or I have that, I have this, which it all stems from food and emotions, right? Yeah. That is, I think our health is stemmed, and toxicity, right, of the environment that we live in. It is our responsibility to start somewhere. And if they're like, okay, well, I can't lose weight because I have this health element and I can't work out and I can't do these things, then what you do have control over is what goes into your mouth, and you do have control over of detoxing out. And so it comes back down to having to want to, and not everybody wants to, because it's discipline and self-control, as we know, is not easy. And so because we're human, we're all going to have vices, right? We're going to have things that we struggle with in certain areas of our lives that are harder than others. And I think that that's, again, it's just somebody's vice, and that they haven't overcome and beat yet. And again, the consequences of that sin is going to be losing your health.
Yeah.
And again, luckily God is a forgiving God, and he does forgive us for our sins, and he already has saved us because he knew that we were going to fall short every single day in whatever area of our lives that it is. But we also know that the consequences are real.
Right.
And it's like, is it worth it? Is it worth that donut, throwing it in your mouth, or that piece of cake? Is it worth waking up in 10 years from now and not having the abilities to run up the stairs and chase your grandkids and sit on the floor and take care of them? And little things like that in life, it's just, is it worth the long-term outcome? And in any area of your life, I don't care what it is you have to ask that question. The life that I'm living today, is it gonna get me the life that God created for me? And you can answer that question, yes or no, everybody individually, in every area of your life, your health, your relationships, your friendships, the people you surround yourself with, your vices, your habits, your whatever it is. Am I honoring God in this? And is it going to get me to where I want to be in 10 years from now, in 20 years from now, 30 years from now? Is it going to be something I want to pass down to my kids generationally? Because our kids do what we do. They become who we become. That is what happens. Yeah. So everything is a consequence of our decisions, and we have free will. And we can choose to do what we want with it. But, the more disciplined and self-control that we can become, and the more educated in God's word that we become, I would say it's not easier, but it's worth it. Mm-hmm. It's not easy, but it's worth it.
Pick your hard.
Pick your hard, yes. Me and my girlfriend, Allison, we did a podcast on that, choosing your heart, because everything has an outcome. You can do whatever you want in your life, and it's just, if you do this, you're going to get that. If you do this, you're going to get that.
Right.
Every action has a reaction.
Yep.
Choose it. And then that's what you get to live with,
You totally understand that. Yep. Well, that was a nice podcast.
Yeah, it was. If you're out there and you're struggling with, just taking care of yourself and your health and getting it under control, the best advice that I can give anybody is just dig deep and really write down, what do you want your health to be? And then do everything that it takes to get that.
Yeah. And no sugar for Tarrah.
No sugar for Tarrah.
I'm holding myself accountable today on the show. I'm detoxing from sugar.
Good. Yes, you're gonna feel like crap first. Any detox is like a down before and up, but it's gonna be so worth it.
When that cake gets passed by, I just gotta pray.
Yeah. Rebuke that cake.
Rebuke you, Satan. That's what's coming for me. Satan knows what I like, and he's gonna bring cake around more than ever. Just watch. I'll tell you. Next week, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I saw like 10 pieces of cake floating by me.
And you're like, I chose. I'm not gonna do it. I said what I said, and you held yourself accountable to your word.
Okay.
And that's what builds self-respect and self-love. Is being accountable to what you say and sticking to it, even when you don't feel like it.
Okay. We got this.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, have a wonderful week.
Yep. Have a good week.
Catch you next one.
Bye.